The sound of splintering plastic and metal echoed through the conference room as Damien Holt's fist smashed through the center of my prototype. 6 months of late nights, missed weekends, and meticulous calibration work scattered across the polished floor in a spray of components. My breath caught in my throat as I watched tiny custom-machined parts skitter under chairs and roll toward the walls. "This is garbage," Damien announced, his voice cutting through the shocked silence. He turned toward the woman seated at the head of the table, instantly shifting into the smooth, practiced charm I'd watched him deploy countless times. "We'll start over with a real team." My legs felt weak beneath me as I stared at the destruction. That prototype represented everything: my vision for mechanical adaptive technology that worked without electricity, my answer to global accessibility problems, my future. And now it lay in pieces. Deliberately destroyed in front of the one person who could have championed it. The client, Dr. Serena Vale, hadn't spoken much during my presentation. Now she studied the scattered remains with an expression I couldn't read. Her eyes, sharp and assessing, moved from the broken prototype to Damien's satisfied smirk, then finally to my face. "Can I have your contact?" she asked quietly, her voice steady. The request caught me off guard. I fumbled in my pocket for my personal business card, the ones I'd printed myself when Damien had forgotten to order them for me after my promotion. My fingers trembled slightly as I handed it to her. Damien's smile faltered, the corners of his mouth tightening almost imperceptibly. "Dr. Vale, I assure you our team will develop something much more aligned with industry standards." Ava's approach is, he hesitated, searching for the right dismissive term. "Experimental. Impractical for real-world application." Serena pocketed my card without acknowledging his comment. "Thank you for your time today. I'll be in touch about next steps." Her words were professional, non-committal, directed at everyone and no one. As the meeting dispersed, I knelt on the floor, gathering the salvageable pieces of my work. Each component felt like a small wound in my hand: the titanium joint connectors I'd designed to withstand extreme conditions, the pressure-adaptive hinges that required no electrical components, the weight-distributing frame that could be repaired with basic tools anywhere in the world. "Leave it," Damien said, standing over me once the clients had left. "Maintenance will clean up." I looked up at him, my vision blurring slightly. "These are custom parts." "Parts for a project that's officially terminated," he replied, checking his watch. The design review committee agreed with my assessment. "We're moving forward with the standard electronic framework." "You never submitted my full documentation to the committee," I said, the realization washing over me. "You told me the meeting was next week." Damien shrugged. "I made an executive decision to fast-track the process. Your design was never going to meet market requirements." He straightened his tie. "Take the rest of the day. Clear your head. Tomorrow you'll join Liana's team on the sensor array project." A demotion not even thinly disguised. "My name is Ava Reed. I'm a mechanical engineer specializing in adaptive motion systems. I'd spent the last 2 years developing technology that could revolutionize mobility devices, prosthetics, wheelchairs, and assistive equipment that worked without batteries or complex electronics. While everyone else chased electrical solutions, I focused on mechanical innovations that would be more reliable, infinitely more affordable, and accessible globally. I joined the company straight out of graduate school, drawn by their mission statement about engineering solutions for underserved communities. I believed in. My mother had spent her career as a rural healthcare provider in regions where power outages were common. I'd grown up watching people struggle when their medical devices failed because of power issues, problems that could be solved with better mechanical design. For 18 months, my ideas had been systematically sidelined. Damien had arrived as our new division head and immediately established himself as someone who valued flash over function. He preferred sleek, electronic solutions that dazzled in boardrooms. The fact that such devices became useless without consistent power access was, in his view, a distribution problem, not a design problem. 3 days after that disastrous meeting, My personal phone rang with an unknown number. Ava Reed speaking. This is Dr. Serena Vale. The client's voice was unmistakable. I'd like to see more of your designs privately. My pulse quickened. I'm not sure how much I can share outside company channels. I understand your position, she replied, but I believe your approach has significant potential. Would you be willing to meet to discuss concepts only? We arranged to meet at a small workshop near the industrial district. I brought only my sketchbook, nothing proprietary, just concepts I could draw freehand. When Serena arrived, she introduced herself properly. She wasn't just any client. She was the chairperson of the largest mobility foundation in the country, responsible for distributing assistive devices to over 60 countries worldwide. Your approach solves problems we've struggled with for years, she said, examining my sketches. Battery dependency makes our devices useless in many regions. Even when we provide solar chargers, they're often repurposed for more immediate community needs. My chest tightened with vindication mixed with regret. Use our workshop, she interrupted, gesturing around. I'm hosting the International Mobility Conference next month. Every major manufacturer will attend. I want you to demonstrate what's possible. Damien will be there, I said, the realization sinking in. Serena's expression remained neutral. Yes, your manager has been invited. Does that concern you? It should have terrified me. But instead, staring at the opportunity before me, I felt something harden inside me, a resolve I hadn't known I possessed. Not anymore, I answered. For 3 weeks, I lived a double life. By day, I worked on Liana Cruz's team, dutifully running diagnostics. At night, I rebuilt my prototype in Serena's workshop, making improvements I'd only dreamed of. The foundation's facilities weren't as advanced, but they had something far more valuable: artisans who repaired devices returned from the field. This joint fails constantly, said Jonah Park, a wheelchair repair specialist, pointing to my initial design. Dust gets in here and locks it up. I redesigned it that night, creating a sealed bearing system that could be cleaned with a damp cloth. Each interaction taught me something new about real-world conditions. The night before the conference, I stood back and looked at not just my rebuilt original design, but 3 additional prototypes addressing different mobility needs, all functioning without electrical power, all reparable with basic tools, all manufacturable at a fraction of standard cost. Are you ready for tomorrow? Serena asked, stopping by for a final check. I've been ready for 2 years, I replied. I just needed someone to see it. The day of the conference arrived with a storm that matched my nerves. Rain lashed the windows as I transported my prototypes, each covered with waterproof tarps. I called in sick, telling Liana I had a fever. By noon, my display was ready, concealed behind partition walls. Through a small gap, I saw attendees fill the hall: industry leaders, government officials, medical professionals. My anxiety threatened to overwhelm me. Through the crowd, I spotted Damien, confident and smiling, oblivious to what was coming. At precisely 2:30, Dr. Serena Vale took the stage. Today is about innovation that serves real needs, she said. Not technology for its own sake, but solutions that work in every context, from urban centers to remote villages. Her eyes found mine. Please welcome mechanical engineer Ava Reed. The partitions slid open. Murmurs spread through the crowd. I stepped forward, heart pounding. The prototypes stood proudly before me, not sleek, not flashy, but alive with purpose. These devices address different mobility needs, I began, my voice steady. They function without electrical power. They can be maintained with basic tools. And they can be manufactured at a fraction of standard costs. I demonstrated each design: the adaptive terrain wheelchair, the modular frame, the pressure system that adjusted automatically. Questions erupted from the crowd. Manufacturing representatives surged forward. A government official asked about licensing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Damien's face twist in disbelief. Applause erupted when I finished. Later, Serena approached with an older man I instantly recognized, Richard Hale, the semi-retired founder of my company. Fascinating approach, he said, examining my prototype. Especially strange since your manager claimed these concepts were his early experiments that proved unfeasible. My stomach dropped. He's been dismissing your work across the industry, Serena said evenly. He even presented it as his own failed design at the Healthcare Innovation Summit. Richard's expression hardened. I built this company to solve problems, not suppress them. He handed me his card. We should discuss your future, with or without your current management. That night, my phone buzzed relentlessly. I ignored the messages until Damien's name flashed across the screen again and again. After the fifth call, I answered. What the hell were you thinking? He demanded. You violated every confidentiality clause in your contract. I didn't present company property, I said calmly. Those prototypes were built with my own hands, based on my original graduate concepts. Your concepts were developed on company time. They predated my employment. Check my portfolio submission. There was silence. Then, his voice softened. Listen, Ava, I've always valued your creativity. Maybe I was too harsh. The market just isn't ready. We could integrate your ideas gradually, just talk to Richard for me, please. I thought of the shattered prototype. The lies. The humiliation. Some things can't be fixed once they're broken, I said quietly. Like trust. And I hung up. The next morning, pounding at my door jolted me awake. Liana stood there, wide-eyed. You need to come in now. Damien's called an emergency meeting, he's accusing you of stealing company designs. My heart raced. By the time we reached headquarters, chaos had erupted. Executives argued in hallways. The lobby buzzed with tension. Security escorted me upstairs alone. Inside the conference room sat Richard Hale, Dr. Serena Vale, Margaret Shaw, the company's general counsel, and Damien Holt, pale and tight-lipped. Thank you for coming, Ava, Richard began. There's a disagreement about the prototypes you displayed yesterday. Damien leaned forward. Ava's designs utilized proprietary mechanisms developed under company resources. This was a clear breach of contract. Richard turned to me. Would you care to respond? Every component was designed and built by me, using foundation resources, based on conceptual work from my graduate studies, work excluded from my employment agreement. Margaret glanced between us. This comes down to documentation and timing. I have my thesis and design journals, I said. Convenient, Damien sneered. But Serena slid a tablet across the table. Her graduate work clearly documents the adaptive pressure system you claimed was developed last year. It's right here. Margaret scrolled, eyebrows rising. Richard leaned back. You presented mechanical mobility solutions as your own failed experiments last month at the summit. Color drained from Damien's face. Margaret tapped her screen. You used phrases like, my early designs. It's in the transcript. Rain hammered against the windows. Silence filled the room. Richard's voice cut through it. You were hired to expand our impact in underserved markets, Damien. Instead, you suppressed the very innovations we were founded to pursue. The market demands electronics, Damien snapped. The market isn't homogeneous, Richard said sharply. We solve problems that matter. Lena, he said, turning to the council. Prepare separation paperwork for Mr. Holt. You can't be serious. Damien shouted. For creating a hostile work environment and undermining innovation, Richard said flatly. As security escorted him out, the storm outside began to break. Richard turned back to me. Ava, I owe you an apology. This should have been addressed long ago. I'd like you to lead a new division focused on mechanical adaptive technologies. Serena has offered a partnership. I hesitated only long enough to ensure my terms, autonomy, transparency, and a team built on integrity. Richard smiled. Those are the only terms worth accepting. 3 months later, our first production run shipped to 12 countries. The feedback transformed metrics into meaning: children reaching school, adults regaining independence, communities learning to repair and thrive. Damien Holt resurfaced with a competitor, but whispers said his reputation never recovered. Richard Hale became a daily presence again, his passion reignited. As for me, I found something deeper than success. A quiet, unshakable purpose. The devices we built weren't just products, they were possibilities. Proof that creation is the most powerful form of defiance. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's building something so undeniably valuable that those who tried to diminish you must face the smallness of their vision.